Welcome to Python Programming Language video tutorials by Talentshine India Private Limited. I am your host Babu sir, technical, quant, logical reasoning trainer. In this tutorial, I would like to discuss a built-in data structure that is tuple. Under this tuple data structure, I would like to discuss two concepts. One is introduction to tuple data structure, and the second one is creating a tuple objects. So without wasting much time, let us begin with the first concept that is introduction to tuple data structure. Now let me write it over here. Tuple data structure. So it is a built-in data structure. So it holds what? It holds a group of different data types. Different data types. So in single word, you may say it holds heterogeneous data types. So do remember, it holds heterogeneous data types. And how do you represent the tuple? So tuple can be represented with round brackets. So is it mandatorily use round brackets? Not necessary. So as like list, so list can be represented with a square brackets and dictionary can be represented with a curly brackets. As like that, tuple can be represented with a round brackets. So we may say parenthesis. And the tuples are immutable objects. Do remember, tuples are immutable objects. So what is meant by immutability? So we cannot add or we cannot remove or we cannot modify the elements from the tuple. So these things will not be possible. Let me write here, not possible. Under the tuple data structure. So, and the next important point here is it is ordered collection of elements. Ordered collection of elements. So, which means insertion order is preserved. So, and hence, how do you access the elements which are there in the tuple? So, for that, you may use indexing. So, indexing concept is allowed under this tuple data structure. So do remember, so indexing concept is allowed under the tuple data structure. Since indexing concept is allowed, even slicing also possible, right? Slicing is also possible using this tuple data structure. Now, one more important point is tuples are hashable. Now, you may get one question in your mind that is, so what is meant by hashability? So let me write it over here. Any object is said to be hashable. Any object is said to be hashable if it has hash value that does not change during the lifetime. So I hope you could understand what I have conveyed. So if you understood the introduction part of tuple data structure, now let us create a few tuples in my IDE. So let us go back to my IDE and write few examples for the tuple. Now let us take a variable a. So I'm going to take here round brackets. Let me take here round brackets. Is it mandatory to take round brackets? Not necessary, right? Now let us take certain elements as it holds heterogeneous data types. Let me write here some integer values, some float values, and some strings. And let me write here one more string that is hello. Now let me print a. Now execute it. So a tuple has been created. So hope you could understand. Now, what kind of data that which is there in this variable a? So if you want to check, so we should use type function, and you just try to pass the variable name here so that you can come to know what type of data which is there in this variable, right? Now you could see tuple. So A holds a tuple. If you use here print function, so prior to type of A, now let us see the output and see the difference as well. Now the difference is you got here class tuple. What does it mean? So which means A is an object of class tuple. So hope you could understand what I have conveyed. Now, is it mandatory to use round brackets? Now let us remove the brackets and execute the same thing. Now let us see. We will be getting similar output as like previous. Here, it is not mandatory to use round brackets. If you are assigning multiple values to one variable, so it will be treated as a tuple. So I hope you could understand, right? Now, in this tuple, can we take one more tuple as an element? Yes. So we can take one more tuple as an element. Now, let us take one more element over here. Now, here I'm going to take an element as a 90, comma, 100, right? Now, this is what a tuple. So here I have taken one tuple inside the tuple. So we can call it as a nested tuple, right? Now we can take in such a way. Now let me execute it. So we have the output. Output consists of the new element as well. Hope the idea is clear. Now, so in this tuple, so can we add any other element like list? Yes. So we can add other element. So that is list as well. Now let me execute it so that you could understand. So this element has been added. So since tuple holds what? Heterogeneous data types. So you may add here tuple as one element, you may add list as one element, and etc. Hope the idea is clear to everybody. Now, let us create a tuple with one element. So for that, let me remove it. Now let me take A is equal to, so I'm going to take round brackets and I'm going to take one element over here. Now let me print A. You will be getting obviously the output as a 2. Now let us verify whether A holds tuple data type or not. So for that, let us use type function, type of A. Now you could verify it. A is an object of integer class. So you might be shocked, right? So here we got the output as an integer, but we have used here round brackets, right? So now if you want to create a tuple with one element, so this is not the correct syntax. So you have to use over here comma. So after writing the first element, if you are placing over here comma, so now obviously, so we will be getting what? A tuple. So this is what the correct way of creating a tuple with a one element. So here brackets are not mandatory. Now let us remove the brackets and let us verify it. So whether we are getting same output or not. Yes, we are getting the same output. So hope the idea is clear to everybody. Now let's go back and discuss the next important point. Now let us discuss how to create an empty tuple. So let us write here. So creating an empty tuple. Let me write it here. Creating an empty tuple. So for this, so we will be having two approaches. The first one is, let us take over here. So A is equal to round brackets. If you print A, so you will be getting what output as a tuple. So an empty tuple we will be getting. So this is a simple way, the first way. Now the second approach is you may use tuple constructor. So for that, so you have to use, so A is equal to tuple. So this is what a tuple constructor. So if you are going to use a tuple constructor, so however, you will be getting the same output, right? So inside this tuple constructor, I'm not passing anything. So hence we are getting an empty tuple. Now let's go back and execute the same thing in my IDE so that you could see the difference. The first approach, let us take A is equal to. So tuple here is A, right? Now let me print A. Now you could see an empty tuple will be created. Now let us use here print of type of A. Now you will be getting what? So A is an object of tuple class. Now let us use the second approach using tuple constructor. So here you may use tuple, right? So this is what tuple constructor. Now let me execute it. Now we are getting what? A tuple. So same output we are getting. So I hope the idea is clear to everybody. Now, if it is clear now, so let me explain more about this tuple constructor. Now, using this tuple constructor, not only we can create an empty tuple, even we can convert, if you pass here the list, that also will be converted into tuple. Now, let me erase this and let me write here a few examples for that. Now, A is equal to, let us take a tuple constructor here. And here, what I'm going to do inside this tuple constructor, I'm going to pass one tuple. Now, let me print A. So we will be getting a tuple with elements 2, 3, 4. Hope the idea is clear. Now, you may use the type function as well, type of A. We'll be getting similar output. Now, can we pass list at this tuple constructor? Yes. So we can pass even list as well. So instead of this tuple, so I'm going to take one list here. So though we are getting the similar output, you could see a tuple has been created. So this tuple constructor converts this list in terms of a tuple. Hope the idea is clear. Here you may pass even dictionary as well. So it will convert in terms of a tuple. Right? Now, is there any other ways which are available in order to create the tuples? Yes, we will be having eval function. As we know that using eval function is not safe. However, let me show you the usage of eval function in order to create the tuple. At this eval function, you have to pass input as a string. Let me pass here the string. So that is what tuple. So which consists of certain elements. So let me take even string also. Now let me take one more string. And let me take one float value. So at this eval function, we have passed tuple as in the form of what? String. Now, if you print A, and then let us see even type of A and execute it. So a tuple has been created. But as it is risky, instead of using this eval function, so try to use literal underscore eval, so which is available under the AST module. So let me show you that approach as well. So for that, you have to import AST module. And let me copy the same thing. And here I'm going to use literal underscore eval. So this is what the function which is available under this module. So if you want to use the function which is available under this module, so you have to write here AST dot module name dot literal underscore eval. It is much safer than a val function. Now let me execute it, and so whether we are getting similar output or not, let us see. So we are getting the same output. So I hope you could understand what I have conveyed. So we have various methods in order to create the tuples. But do remember, once a tuple has been created, so since it is immutable object, so we cannot modify or we cannot add and we cannot remove the elements. Now, I would like to share one more important point over here. Let me erase this and let us take A is equal to certain elements here. So here I'm going to take one tuple, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to take one of the element as a list as well. Now, this is what a tuple, right? So inside this tuple, we have certain elements. We can access using indexing, right? So this is at 0th index, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Now, can we change the element which is at 0th index? Now, let's see A of 0. So I'm going to change it as some 10. If you have executed, it's not possible, hence it generates a type error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Do remember here. It generates what? Type error. Hope the idea is clear, right? Now, can we change the element which is there at index 2? Now, let me write here. So this is 0, 1, 2, and it is at 3. Now, let us take 3. So instead of this entire tuple, so next tuple, so I'm going to take a 10. However, the similar error will be generated. Now, can we change instead of this list? Can we add one string? Now, for that, let me write here A of 4, so which is equal to one string, that is hello. So again, we are getting the same error, type error. So we cannot modify the tuple, right? And these are immutable objects. Whereas list is a mutable object. Now we cannot remove the list, but inside the list, if elements are there, that can be modified. Now this list is at which index? Index 4. And at 0th index, we have a 2. Now let me take here 0th index. Now, if I have executed, then what will happen? You could see the difference. Since list is mutable, we can modify it. It is a mutable object. Now, what happened? You could see. Now, instead of this 2, we got a new element that is hello. So try to understand the difference between the previous explanation part and now. Right? Now, can we change this 3? Yes, we can modify it. Now, further, let me write here A of 4, and then, so this element is at index number 1. So which is equal to, let me write here Python and execute it. Now you could see the output. So hello and Python. So both are added. But we cannot remove this element, which means this list cannot be removed, right? So instead of this list, we cannot add new element. But inside this list, we can change the elements as list is mutable. So I hope you could understand and what I have conveyed in this tutorial. So under this tutorial, I have discussed two concepts. One is introduction to tuple data structure, and the second one is how to create tuple objects. If you clearly understood, please like, share, and subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.